Selamat welcome to another episode of Flesh and News. Today we have the emergency banned and restricted announcement straight from James White, the game creator of Flesh and Blood himself. So, basically, I'm gonna go through the whole article, cover what cards are banned, why they did it, and their philosophy and implications to the meta that's coming up. So, first off, the first paragraph here is them explaining that they wanted to do this on October during their scheduled BNR announcement, but since the Rosetta release is coming up soon, and it's very important for them to make Rosetta feel like it's going to be an impactful format. And with the data they've gathered from previous callings, battle hardens, pro tours, and whatnot, they decided to speed up the process and deliver us this ban right now. So, in the first paragraph, they decided why they're doing this a little bit early. Second is they're covering the Flesh and Blood design principles, which is the four of which is start full. You start at your full power. Reduce variance is, well, compared to other TCGs, you want a lower variance game to be very impactful, and you progress the game state and in an interactive manner. Third is every card counts. You want every card to be like seen. You don't want to just rely on like the top 20 cards of your deck, because with the pitch stacking system, you want to see through a longer game that you get to see most cards in your deck. And fourth is reward good decisions, not good luck. And they covered that, well, most of these principles are still true, and they want to keep it that way, especially the reduce variance and reward good decisions, not good luck part, which is two of the main reasons I like playing Flesh and Blood personally, because it's a very low variance game and it's very fun and very rewarding if you put the time and you have the skill. It really rewards good players for playing well and playing better, not just top decking the card that you need or just having it all when an opponent tries to get you. So the ban that they're going to do is trying to achieve this because they feel like they've deviated somewhat from these four core principles, namely due to extreme offensive overlaps. Because during a turn, it's 4 cards versus 4 cards. Anytime your offensive value is way more than the defensive value of the opponents. For example, if you have an arsenal, if you have a draw effect, now you're like 6-7 cards against 4 cards, which means that's a lot of damage that's coming through that can't be stopped. They literally block with their whole hand and they're still taking tons and tons of damage. Well, this is intended to happen. The offensive value of cards are designed to be more than defensive values, so you slowly, gradually go down to 0 if you're just like trading attacks and blocks. You wouldn't just, if it were at parity, then a lot of heroes would stay the same just by being defensive, but by the cards being more offensively slanted, they want the gradual decrease to 0. The keyword here being gradual. They don't want an extremely big turn that happens with no setup and too consistently. That's what has been happening recently with Zen, with the arsenaling a power card and then using Traverse and Striders. He's able to pull off these big turns out of seemingly nowhere. So they're giving us their design principles for 2025, with the fundamental building blocks are action points, resource points, intellect, life, power, defense, and abilities. And they want heroes to have hero identity. They want to empower more agency and multiple paths to victory. So here we cover the main points is if you're a combo deck or you're an OTK deck, they're still gonna allow that, but you need to do the steps and prepare to set up for that super big turn. They don't want you to pull it out of thin air. For example, the Viserai or Florian Turtle Burst or OTK builds, you need to set up and play a bunch of rune chant generating cards over the course of the game until you're able to hit that point of having enough rune chants that it'll kill your opponent with one attack. And Kano, you need to pitch stack, or Bolton, you need to draw Illumina, and then you need to run the armor, the body piece that discounts your weapons, and you can only do it once because after that you've already spent your body piece, you've already spent your armor piece, you've already spent your Illumina, so you can't do it again. You get one big turn after setting up. So, in an effort to do that, they banned the following cards in Classic, Constructed, and Blitz, effective September 9th, 2024. It's Art of War, Bonds of Ancestry, Cash In, Orhan, Tome of Aetherwind, Tome of Divinity, Tome of Yendal, and Tome of Arban. I think by far this is the biggest ban list that they've done to date out of their 5 years. But you can see there's a theme here. All of these cards draw more cards. And drawing cards and going card positive is what helps you do that super big turn. Especially here are the cards that can be played in multiples. So you can Art of War, you draw an Art of War off of your Art of War, and then you Art of War again. And then you draw more cards using the resource you already pitched before. For example, you pitched a blue, you have 3, you use 1 to Art of War, you have 2 left. You play a second Art of War, you're still using the resource that you provided by this one card. You still have 1 resource left, but you're netting extra cards. Same with Bonds. They already pointed before how Bonds was super duper limiting in design space since it's way too powerful. It's a 0 for 8 if you fetch a 0 for 4, which is nuts for a rare. And not only doing Classic, Constructed, and Blitz, they're also restricting Bonds in Living Legend, so you can no longer run 9 Bonds for your Zen Living Legend deck. So here's a bit of reasoning why some cards and not another. This is the only part where I disagree with LSS. It's this part. Is why is Blood Rush Bellow okay while Art of War isn't? They both do the same thing, right? 1 resource, 2 cards for 2 cards, and then you have the power buff. Art of War is 1 for each attack action. Meanwhile, the Blood Rush Bellow is 2 per brute attack, which includes weapons. Their only defense was Art of War being a generic, is that it benefits from literally every card printed. Meanwhile, Blood Rush Bellow is only in brutes. But that logic, Tome of Aetherwind is only for wizards. Tome of Firebrand is only for draconic heroes, and Tome of Divinity so far has only been prisms. So I don't see the logic behind it, and you're really pushing down on the other aggro heroes, especially Ninja, which has been the biggest abuser of Art of War, but that's their power card. They don't have an in-class Art of War like Brute does. They've been relying on Art of War ever since the game came out. So I don't see why Brute gets to keep their Blood Rush Bellow. Meanwhile, every other aggro or big turn combo deck needs to sacrifice their power budget here. So that's the only thing that I don't really agree with here. But everything else, even though I'm a Ninja main, I'm a Zenjoyer, I'm a File Lover, I'm a Ronin Renegade, I have the Phi playmat, I have the Phi sleeves. Like, I really enjoy playing rush down aggro strategies, and this really hits me. But I believe in LSS that they're going to, like, since this is out of the way and they've been designing around this, like they say this, like, Artifor has been a suppressive force that they had to continually design and develop around, which means they can't print powerful or cool cards for ninjas or for a lot of heroes because, like, okay, this is really good, but oh no, with Art of War it's going to be super broken. Well, now Art of War is no longer in the picture. Hopefully us ninjas can get better cards going forward and in class, like Anthem or buffed or like super juicy effect that cannot be out here until Art of War is gone. So especially Bonds as well. Bonds is very limiting. It's the combo line they printed during Outsiders, which brought Katsu into relevancy because the previous combo lines are just like too iffy. No natural go again on the starters means that, well, they just block the first thing and then you're done. So this has been the only relevant powerful combo line that any ninja can run. And now with it gone, hopefully they're going to give us another relevant combo keyword or combo line that works together either with existing lines like branching off, like the Gust Wave and Bonds, like how they did it in the Outsiders, maybe developing off of Leg Tap this time, or maybe something else different entirely, but I'm looking forward to that. But until then, Phais and Katsus are hit super hard by this. Really sucks. However, like us ninjas, we can move over if you're into the aggro theme, like moving over to Aurora is the way to go. Or if you're a Zen main and you still believe in Zen, like this pushes him to be the tiger build that he was always supposed to be. A tiger focused hero with his tiger taming Kakara and his tiger generating hero ability. So yeah, overall they go here that an explanation for every card that they included. And here's a list of the cards that are notably absent, which is 3 of a Kind, Tome of Harvest, Tome of the Arknet, and Tome of Imperial Flame. It's 3 of a Kind and Tome of Harvest. You can't play multiples in a turn because 3 Oak limits you can't play cards from hand after you use it. And Tome of Harvest requires you to like bottom an arsenal, and you only have 1 arsenal spot normally, right? So you can't play like 2 or 3 in a turn. And Tome of Imperial Flame, it's not card advantage. It does draw you 2 cards, but it forces you to pitch 2 cards as well, which means it's not netting you cards, it's netting you resources actually. So I agree with those decisions. And for Tome of the Arknight, it has the built-in variance limiter, which means like there's a high chance that you whiff if you don't reveal an attack and a non-attack in the top 2. So yeah, these are fine to leave around. It's just such a shame that Blood Rush Bellow is not covered here and only mentioned slightly in the Art of War section. I would love to understand better why James White and Brian Gottlieb and the LSS team decided to leave such a powerful card that goes into this design of creating a big turn, especially with Savage Sash. You can like discount the cost of cards, especially in Levia, where a lot of the 6-7 power attacks have 1 cost, which means it's discounted to 0. So, and with the go again and the extra action point that you can get from the legs, it just creates for a bonkers turn. in combination with Blood Rush plus Sash. It's just now KO and Leviah are the obvious go-to aggro deck choices. If you like Brute, I personally despise Brute, but to each their own. I'll be going forward as a Crackle addict in the form of an Aurora. So yeah, wrapping up, that in Classic Constructed and Blitzed, keep in mind this also affects Blitz. So yeah, these changes are going to be implemented immediately right before Rosetta release. So when it releases, we're coming up into a very, very fresh meta where we don't know what deck's going to be on top. A lot of the Zen players are either going to like switch over to KO or try to rebuild their Tiger version of the deck. New players might need to adjust the disruptions that they're going to bring, since Zen's probably going to drop off a bit in popularity. Enigma and Victor might come see the light of day with a reduced count of both Zen and New. So yeah, the meta is going to change up a lot, not only for the old heroes, but also with the influx of 4 new heroes that are going to be, I feel like they have really cool, really flavorful, and going to be very fun to play with. And for those of you who are sad that, oh, I really like playing with Art of War or Tomes, well, this is where the differentiation between Classic Constructed and Living Legend finally comes to fruition, right? Because so far it's been pretty samey, except for the few heroes that have been LL'd, like Oldhim and Starvo. You can basically play like the same style of hero. You can play Zen in both LL and CC. You can play New in both LL and CC. And it's only a place where old players who have old decks that have LL reminisce and play. Now we have a clear differentiator between LL and CC, where in CC you don't have these busted draw 2, draw 3 card effects that you can chain together. Meanwhile in LL, well, where the power budget is way up there, you get to play with these cards. So don't sell your collection, with Living Legend being a more relevant format, like they're designing a calling with the Living Legend format at the end of the year, and surely more tournaments to come during 2025 season. Keep your collections intact, and you can still play with your tomes and your degenerate combos in the LL format. So yeah, overall, even though I'm negatively impacted directly right now as a Fi enjoyer, I like Katsu, I love my Zen, but I understand and realize how this change is very positive going forward. For the game, they're no longer limited in the design space, designing around these busted draw cards. They can print better gold generation or payoffs. They can design better draconic Phoenix Flame generating or fetching mechanisms. They can print more better combo lines for ninjas. They can print anthem effects in class. So yeah, overall I'm pretty happy, pretty stoked to see how Flesh and Blood going forward is gonna go from here. And if you're a newer player or you're just deciding whether to jump in or not, I feel like with these bans, they're really covering their bases for the next year, at least for 2025. They really know what they're going for, and they really have like laid down the groundwork. And going forward, we're gonna have a really healthy, really back and forth interactive game that you're gonna love. So yeah, if you liked the video, don't forget to press like, comment, and subscribe. That's the best free way you can support me, providing more Flesh and Blood content direct into your YouTube video feed. And as always, it's been me, Mas Bulemayan, and sampai goodbye.